I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers stay as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Welcome back, everyone. Revisiting these lessons always feels like a good idea.
It does.
It's
Kind of refreshes everything.
yeah, it's like a good reminder to keep things in perspective.
Yeah, and a really great place to start is lesson 1,
Yes.
which
feels deceptively simple, but
Yeah.
when you really kind of dig into it,
it is deceptively simple.
it's
It's very profound.
yeah, it really can change how we see things.
Yeah.
So for those of you who may be new to A Course in Miracles, just imagine, you're putting on a new pair of glasses
Oh, yeah.
that just completely shift your perception of everything around you.
Right.
It's kind of what lesson 1 is like.
I love that analogy.
Thanks.
It's perfect. And that's really what it is. It's this idea that nothing I see means anything.
Now, that sounds kind of nihilistic when you first hear it.
It does.
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean that nothing means anything?
Yep. And that's not what it's saying at all.
No.
What it's really getting at is that we assign meaning to things.
Oh.
And oftentimes those meanings we assign cause suffering.
So it's not really about the objects themselves,
Exactly.
but the story we create around them.
Yeah. You look at this table and you think, okay, it's a table, it's brown, it's wood, but then you start adding all this extra stuff. You're like, oh, this table reminds me of my grandmother's house, or this is the table where we had that awful argument.
Right.
And all of a sudden the table is no longer just a table.
It's loaded.
It's loaded with meaning, and that's what the core release is trying to point out.
I can see.
It even uses these very simple examples like a table, a chair, a pen.
The pen, yeah.
And it's saying, we tend to elevate some things and dismiss others and create this hierarchy of meaning when really there isn't one.
Oh, I can so relate to that.
Yeah.
I remember this one time, I spilled coffee all over this really important document I was working on.
Oh, no.
And I just completely freaked out.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the end of the world,
I've been there.
But then later I realized it was just a piece of paper.
Right.
The real problem was my reaction to it.
Exactly.
The meaning I gave to that event.
Yes, and that's the power of this lesson.
Okay.
It's not about ignoring the practical function of things.
Right. We still need chairs to sit on.
Of course, yeah. We
Yeah.
still need to use a pen to write.
Right.
But it's about recognizing that the meaning we attach to them is often arbitrary and can lead to unnecessary stress.
So, that makes sense for like everyday objects and things like that. But what about something like a stop sign?
Okay.
It has to have some inherent meaning.
It does. We still operate within the practical world.
Right.
But even with a stop sign, it's our reaction to it that dictates our experience.
So I can get frustrated when somebody blows through a stop sign.
Exactly.
Or I can just, see it as a neutral event.
Right.
And adjust my driving accordingly.
You got it.
Okay, so it's about taking control of how we respond.
Yes.
Even if we can't always control what happens.
Exactly. It's not about being passive.
Gotcha.
It's about taking responsibility for your own inner state.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this lesson expands beyond just objects in a room.
Oh, okay.
It applies to everything we perceive. A flickering lamp, a passing shadow.
Wow.
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose how we experience the world.
So instead of, getting upset when someone cuts me off in traffic,
Right.
I could just observe it and choose not to let it ruin my day.
Yeah, and it's not about condoning bad driving.
Exactly.
It's about protecting your own inner peace.
That's really powerful.
It is, and a lot of people, when they first encounter this lesson, they think it's nihilistic.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it's actually incredibly empowering because it frees us from being at the mercy of external circumstances.
I like that.
Yeah.
So to kind of recap, lesson 1 is really about recognizing that we give meaning to things.
Yes.
And that often causes us to suffer. And by practicing seeing things without those pre-assigned meanings,
Yeah.
we can find more peace in our lives.
You got it.
Would you say that's a good summary?
Perfect summary.
Awesome.
And what I think is really fascinating is that this lesson is indiscriminate.
What do you mean by that?
It applies to everything.
Okay.
We don't have to overthink it.
So it's not about analyzing each and every little thing.
No, it's not about that at all. It's about shifting our perception on a fundamental level.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's one thing our listeners can take away from lesson 1
That's a great question.
and apply to their life today?
I would encourage them to consider this. What one thing are you currently giving too much meaning to? How would applying this lesson change your experience of that situation?
Oh, that's good.
It could be a big life event or something as simple as losing your keys.
Right.
The principle remains the same.
That's a great point to ponder.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into A Course in Miracles.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, this lesson is always there for you to revisit
Absolutely.
whenever you need a little perspective shift.
It's a good one.
See you next time.
See you later.
I woke up to a miracle today.